Hello, everybody. Today we watched the newest movie in the Liam and the Taken verse, the universe of 20 Liam Neeson rip-off movies, ripping off his own movie Taken. As you might know, we try to catch most of these, but due to the tremendous amount that come out and the lack of time they're in theaters, sometimes they slip through the cracks, never to be heard of or remembered again. But Liam Neeson's back on his bullshit with the 2500th entry of the Taken verse. So Aiden, what is the plot of Absolution?
Absolution, which has no relation to Retribution, Liam Neeson's movie from last year, is about a mob enforcer guy who works under Hellboy himself, Ron Perlman. And he has dementia from being a boxer, and he gets sad about having dementia, and he has sex with a woman, and he reconnects with his family. And then, honestly, I stopped paying attention.
I'll take over.
And then when I looked up from my phone, he got stabbed and died.
He had sex with
He saved
the African-American lady to prove that Liam Neeson wasn't racist after his real-life hate crime.
He robbed Ron Perlman, and then he saved
you're
prostitutes.
missing. So the daughter said, "Dad, you have dementia," and he's like, "I'm gonna beat this woman with a baseball bat." And she's like, "Dad, you're not proving yourself not to have committed that racially aggravated crime you had in real life, Liam." And he's like, "You're right. Get out of here, you bitch." And she's never seen again. And then he says, in a previous scene, I was gonna fuck a hooker, but then I decided I liked her, so I was gonna buy her freedom, and I think I'll do that." So then he goes over and he goes to Ron Perlman and Ron Perlman's son, who, I don't know if it's actually Ron Perlman's son, but he has a very exaggerated brow like Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
I wonder, it's a chicken and the egg situation. Did they pick the kid because he looked like Ron Perlman, or did they pick Ron Perlman because he looked like the kid?
It's either, he could be a Nepo baby weird vanity project thing.
That was something else.
Or they could have gone out of their way to find a guy who looks like a gorilla to match Ron Perlman.
Yeah, but anyways, Liam Neeson basically doesn't really make up with his kid that much. She still thinks he's kind of a prick. But he kind of connects with his grandson. It's like, don't be a deadbeat dad like your dad and my dad.
And me.
And me. Your dad and me. And then the kid's like, alright, whatever, dude. And then he robs Ron Perlman, and he takes the money.
He goes to the prostitute place, and the prostitute he likes died, so he kills all the pimps.
No, he doesn't want to kill the pimps. He wants to free the other prostitutes, but what happens is there was another guy in the other room, and the main pimp is like, watch my back. And in the confusion and the ensuing scuffle, pimp guy tackles the gun out from him and then shanks Liam Neeson 5 times. But then one of the hookers gets the gun and shoots the guy. And Liam Neeson's like, well, I suppose we all get what we deserve in our end. Then he drives out to the sunset and he fucking dies of a shanking inflicted wound.
Sure.
Also, there's a really funny part where where he's gonna fucking kill himself on the highway because Super Public Road, and he puts the gun in his mouth, and he is deep throating this gun.
I like how it's framed exactly like the scene in Freddy Got Fingered.
Well, yeah, because I also feel like I know probably in real life if you're trying to do that, I don't know.
That's how you do it.
I don't know how much YouTube will let me say, but I feel like I would shove it down there too to make sure you get it, but Liam Neeson crying with a gun barrel all the way down his fucking throat for a 3-minute scene.
It looks
and then
just
looking over at a little
Fingered.
girl who's like this from the window or something. And he's like, I still have an lot to live for, including getting shanked to death after freeing some hookers and running around.
It looks exactly like the Freddy Got Fingered scene. I started giggling because the first thing I thought of was
Freddy threatening to kill himself. Yeah, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy how that works.
Yeah, Liam Neeson's a vigilante like Batman. So Connor, what did you think of Whatever the hell this movie
He's
is.
a vigilante like that? Not really.
No, that's the line from before Freddy puts the gun in his mouth. When he's explaining X-Ray Cat, he's a vigilante, like Batman.
Oh, he's awesome. Fucking stupid though. We should do a Drunkview Freddy Got Fingered.
Have we not done that?
I think we might have, but it's been
that long enough.
I feel like it's one of those questions though. Instead of have we covered Freddy Got Fingered on the channel yet? Hold up, let's figure this out. Freddy. Nope, we've done 2 Five Nights at Freddy's video and a Nightmare on Elm Street video. No Freddy Got Fingered.
I forgot about the Five Nights at Freddy's fan film rewind.
Yeah.
So Connor,
that was before it looked like it would be happening. I forgot about most of those fan film rewinds because I was normally blasted by the end of them.
Yeah. So Connor, what'd you think of Absolution?
Absolution.
No, Absolution's the other one.
No, this is Absolution because it starts with an A. That's the only reason I know.
Right,
well, to start off with the title that we can't even remember because we debated if it was Retribution or Absolution for like 3 minutes, and I'm like, I know it's Absolution because it starts with an A. What the fuck in hell does the title really actually mean?
He gets Absolution.
1 second. Let me Google.
He got Absolution.
Wait. I'm calling in. I'm phoning a friend. Alexa, what does absolution mean? Formal release. Alexa, what does absolution mean? Formal release from guilt, obligation, or punishment. I would say the movie kind of has to do with the title.
I guess.
But it's mostly just about a sad old man walking around. He says he's some sort of criminal. By the end, it seems like he's perhaps like a drug mule, or he traffics in human.
Mafia
I think he's just like a trafficker. You know, he's a mule.
He'll traffic anything.
He doesn't really have money somehow, but he decides instead of just like getting a fucking job, he's gonna do crime for the shits and giggles of it
and make as much as a McDonald's employee.
But then he has he tries to connect with his family members, which is bizarre. He has the daughter who has multiple baby dads who are all deadbeats like him, as she points out. And he's like, well, maybe you could be my daughter again or something. And she's like, no, go fuck yourself. Then he has a grandson who also doesn't really like him. And that, you know, there's not much resolution to all that. not a satisfying one, at least. And then he has a son who, at one point, he tells his girlfriend, he's like, I have a son, and he was gay, but maybe he wouldn't have been gay if he hung out with me more, and he died of a heroin overdose. And she's like, wow, that's sad, but, you know, he was born that way. You can't just make him straight. And Liam Neeson said, oh, I suppose so. And you'd think there'd be like a comment on like homophobia maybe, or accepting the loss of his son, because sometimes he sees his son's ghost, but not really. They don't really fucking bother with all that. It's just
every plot
thing that happens.
Every plot line in this movie gets dropped eventually.
Most of them in the same scene they created.
The only one that doesn't get dropped is the one where halfway through the movie he meets a hooker and says, do you speak English? And she says
it
no.
Would have been dropped if the movie was any longer. Because at one point, at one point he decides he's gonna like hire a hooker, even though he's just been banging this chick on the side, the black lady who he just kind of swears at, and then it's like, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you, and then she's like, okay, peace out then. And then he doesn't really learn nothing, but then he's like, okay, but I'm going to get the money and I'm going to save the hooker.
I have no idea why he went to bang that hooker. And it's funny because even Liam Neeson says that. He gets in there and he's like, I hear you got some horny girls. And they're like, wow, you're like really old, dude. And
Well,
he's like,
okay,
yeah, and then
so
he walks in, and then he's like, I don't
in
remember
one
why
of
I'm
the
here,
scenes, he's driving around with Ron Perlman's son, and they drop off unknown cargo, which is presumably more hookers. Which, like, how the fuck are you not hearing these, like, whimpering, yelling hookers? Or, like, I feel like transporting human beings, like, it would be very hard to, like, do it with much ignorance. But he didn't know, and then he finds out there's hookers, and then he, like, becomes fascinated with hookers, and he's like, maybe I'll, like, have sex with a hooker or something. And then he changes his mind. And he's like, oh, you're just a young girl. And she's like, yeah, and I got a son, too. And then he's like, oh, just a little boy, huh? And then he says, well, I can't really help you. She disappears for like an hour. And then he's like, may I have sex with that hooker? I'm gonna buy the hooker for 30 grand. That's 10 grand more than you wanted. And the guy's like, yeah, probably, buddy. She got fucked to death by one of the Johns, so we just kind of left her in the bathroom. And he's like, why'd you just leave her in the bathroom?
Like,
and he's
what are
like,
you gonna do?
I don't know. We didn't write that into the script. So then he says, okay, well now I'm just gonna do what I probably could have done instead anyways without that hooker dying and free all the hookers. Mind you, like, the son's never, like, mentioned again. Like, he's not, like, about to,
the
like...
daughter's out of the movie at that point, too.
No, I'm not talking about her son. I'm talking about the hooker's son.
No, yeah, that's also not
like,
important.
That's just sucks
That kid's
for
just
him.
an orphan, man.
Just sucks for him, basically.
Little
Yeah, but
Pablo's
then
an orphan.
Liam Neeson's stabbed like 5 times, and they're like, okay, does he like keep having struggles with dementia? Do we close up some of these plot lines? Does he have like a moment with his daughter? Like,
No.
maybe like it could have an end scene where he like is on the boat with his dead son, because you have a couple scenes where it's like his son there, and maybe he like accepts death or something, and like right before he dies, he meets his fuck. I don't know why I even brought those up, because they didn't think, they didn't bring that up. Yeah, he dies, and he's like, well, I guess I'm dead. At least I saved a couple of hookers. And then he dies, and then that's just the end of the movie. There's, like, no fucking action in this movie. Like, nothing happens. And, like, at least most of these Liam Neeson geezer teasers, it's, like, 5 times, you know, in the normal one, he'd be like, what? You're a hooker. And then she'd be like, yeah, and he'd be like, I can't remember where I am, but I can still kick ass. And then he puts his clip in his pistol, and he kills like 20 evil Mexican people. And I only say that because like half of these movies involve him brutally killing Mexican people.
Except for the amazing last year's movie with the car bomb.
Yeah, no, that was just his own.
Where he kills some guy who says
that
some
movie,
weird thing about
I feel
Cinderella.
like every movie has less and less action, which is like fine in a movie like Retribution, not to be confused with this movie, fucking whatever this stupid ass movie is. But it's fine in a movie like Retribution because it was fucking funny the whole time. This movie has some parts that are kind of funny, and I'm describing it like it's not the most boring thing of all time, but it really is.
It's so boring.
It's like fucking nothing.
So boring.
I also like. I also don't understand what they were going for. They're like, this is an action movie, and it's like Liam Neeson on the poster, and he looks nothing like he does in the movie, but he looks elderly in both. Like, every time I see one of these movies, I'm like, whoa. Liam Neeson looks 10 years older than the last, and this is like number 26, so he looks like those, like, if you look at the old pictures from like the 1800s, we're like, we can't prove it, but this dude's 225 years old, but it's just because he was out in the sun for the last like 90 years, so he looks like a wrinkled ball sack. That's what. He looks like an old person in the 1800s at this point with a shitty mustache.
Yeah, this movie has literally one action scene.
Yeah,
it has like 3 minutes of the movie.
It's misleading. This is only in the Taken verse because it's part of the same cycle and the same ones. I feel like they're walking away, but there are parallels for Taken. Like Liam Neeson's kind of
prostitutes.
He likes fighting human trafficking. That's it's like a hobby of his or something. Yeah, I don't know. It was. I think the best way to describe this movie in a word, I think instead of Absolution, it should have been called Vapid, because it had no entertainment value. It's pretty boring. But it is funny watching a guy be like, I might have dementia, but I can still kick your ass. And then, like, at first I thought, like he has an African-American grandson and an African-American wife. And I was like, oh, maybe Liam Neeson's trying to, like, walk back the racist allegations from the past when he was had his little outburst. But no. Because he just, like, he abandons the kid and then he, like, tries to beat the shit out of his girlfriend anyways. So, I don't know. It wasn't a back battle. It's just what they felt like doing, I guess. So, Aiden, what did you think of Taken verse 20?
I don't know what else to say. It's really fucking boring. I don't remember the last time I checked out of a movie this hard. There's a couple moments that are kind of funny, like the gun in his mouth scene. That's about it. There's a lot of scenes in this movie of Liam Neeson slowly walking on a street, sad about having dementia. And
I don't think I've ever, like, really gotten the appeal of Liam Neeson either.
No.
Like, he's not a good actor.
No.
Ever.
But,
really. I can't really, like... I like Liam Neeson for some reason. I can't figure out why. Maybe it's kind of like a Bruce Willis thing where he, like, had his moments.
I have a morbid fascination with the Taken verse movies.
I'm a fan of Liam Neeson for no reason.
But, yeah, this movie is absolutely boring as shit, and I do not remember the last 30 minutes of it, even though I watched it less than 15 minutes ago. It's really fucking boring.
I was fidgeting.
I really don't have anything else to...
Obi decided he was gonna go inside.
I really don't have anything else to say. It's just incredibly fucking boring. Yep, Connor, would you recommend Absolution?
Absolution is far from the worst movie I've seen this year. There's more egregious movies, certainly.
A lot of them.
However, there are movies that I've, like, were painful to watch this year, like Megaopolis. But I don't think I was so actively bored at a movie this year. And it's kind of bad to mix with the fact that it's boring. But it's not like the most egregious thing ever. It's just pretty bad and weak and rushed, as all of these Taken verse movies are.
It's just fucking boring.
It's fucking boring. I would say no. And normally I might recommend this to the elderly audience members of NTMA Productions. However, I have a brief anecdote. Aiden walked out to go to the bathroom in the middle of the film, and I believe the two other people in the movie theater who were a husband-wife duo that were like minimum 80. They were the target audience.
I don't think they were 80, but they were probably like...
They were like 70s, 80s. No, they were older. But what happened was, I think they thought that it was just one of us that went into the theater. So when Aiden walked out, the old man announced loudly, "This is the longest fucking movie I've ever watched." And the wife is like, "I think we've only been here for like an hour." And he's like, "I want to go home." And she's like, "We spent a lot of money on the tickets, Hugh. We spent a lot of money on these tickets, Hugh." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to say. It's very long and nothing has fucking happened." And I was like, you know what? It proves that even Geezer teasers can be boring, but these are probably like the MCU for old people, you know? Like, this is their version, because there's, like, a fuck ton of them, and you, like, see them out of obligation,
this
but,
is like the Ant-Man
half the
2.
time you think about walking out, but
this is like the Ant-Man 2 of the fucking...
Yeah. No, sometimes there's funny ones. Sometimes there's genuinely okay ones. It's been a fucking while. It's pretty much fucking Marvel. But with Liam Neeson instead.
What's the equivalent to Retribution?
Retribution... That's hard.
The balls to the wall.
Because, well, here's the thing about Retribution. It's awful. It's much worse than this movie, but it's also much better in an enjoyment aspect.
It's funny as hell.
So no, I wouldn't recommend it, but I would recommend going back to watch Retribution. Because that movie is actually fucking... It was like stupid and campy in the same ways as this movie, where they're like, it's for old people, we don't really have to think it out that hard. And like plot holes be damned, and like dropped plot points be damned. But like, unlike this movie, those are Retribution's strengths, you know? It's the what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I believe is a quote from Katy Perry. And,
what doesn't kill you makes you stranger, quote from the Joker.
Yeah, both of those I think are very honest points for Retribution, because something kept me hooked on that movie. Absolution is absolutely not from me. So Aiden, would you recommend Absolution?
Absolutely not. It's fucking boring.